I'm 103 years old, and every morning when I open my eyes, I'm a little surprised the room is still there. The light comes in soft through the thin curtains. The house is quiet now, too quiet. Most of the people who filled it are gone. At this age, you stop making plans that stretch too far ahead. You measure time in seasons, in doctor's appointments, in whether the tomatoes come up again in the yard. The doctors don't quite know what to make of me. They poke, they listen, they look at my charts. One of them, a young woman with kind eyes, once shook her head and said, "You shouldn't be this steady." I just smiled. I didn't tell her that steadiness is the only thing I ever really practiced. They're especially puzzled about my diet. For nearly 40 years now, I've eaten the same 5 foods every single day. Oatmeal, 2 soft boiled eggs, plain yogurt, steamed greens, and a small piece of baked salmon. That's it. No sauces, no sugar, no wine, nothing fancy. People think it must be some secret to long life. It isn't. It's just what's left. When I was in my 20s, I didn't think about food at all. I thought about leaving home. I grew up in a small town that smelled like rain and motor oil. My mother cooked heavy meals, potatoes fried in lard, pies with thick crusts, roast beef swimming in gravy. We ate together every night. My father at the head of the table. My brothers loud and hungry. I couldn't wait to get away from that table. At 23, I moved to the city with a single suitcase and a head full of plans. I wanted to be someone, not a wife, not a mother, someone with a name on an office door. Back then, I ate whatever was quick. Coffee for breakfast, a sandwich at my desk, cigarettes instead of dinner sometimes. I told myself I was busy, important, becoming something. I married at 31. He was patient, quieter than me. He liked that I was ambitious. At least, that's what he said. We'd sit across from each other at night, both tired, both pretending the silence was comfortable. We had one son when I was 35. I held him in the hospital and felt something tear open inside me. Not pain, something wider, like the world had cracked and shown me a deeper room I didn't know existed. I promised him I would always be there. But I also kept working. I told myself I was doing it for him, for security, for his education, for the kind of life I never had. I packed his lunches with careful hands, peanut butter sandwiches cut into neat squares, and then rushed out the door before he finished chewing. At dinner, I often wasn't home. Meetings ran long. Promotions dangled just ahead. My husband learned how to cook simple meals: spaghetti, scrambled eggs, soup from a can. There were small moments I brushed aside. One night my son waited up for me. He must have been 8 or 9. I found him asleep on the couch, a school project resting crooked on his chest. A cardboard solar system, the glue still wet. I remember standing there looking at the uneven circles of painted planets. He had asked me that morning if I could help him. I had said, "Tonight, sweetheart, I promise." I carried him to bed, kissed his forehead, told myself there would be other projects. There always seemed to be other projects. By my 40s, I had the office with my name on the door. I had a secretary. I had suits that fit perfectly and shoes that hurt but made a sound on the marble floors that I liked. I felt seen. At home, things grew quieter. My husband stopped asking what time I'd be back. My son stopped waiting up. We moved around each other politely, like tenants sharing space. I didn't notice the cost at first. That's the thing about slow losses, they don't scream. They thin out. Meals became separate. I'd eat late, standing at the counter. They'd already finished. The table that once held conversation turned into a place for mail. Food changed for me around then. I began to feel tired. My doctor warned me about my heart, about stress. He said, "You can't run like this forever." But I thought I could. In my 50s, my husband got sick. Nothing dramatic at first, just fatigue. Then more tests. Then words we both understood without repeating. Cancer has a way of rearranging a house. The air feels different. The clock sounds louder. I took time off work, but even then, part of me was still tethered to it. I'd step into the hallway to take calls, whisper about contracts while he slept in the bedroom down the hall. One afternoon, he asked me to sit. To sit. No phone, no papers. We sat at the kitchen table, the same one from years before, and he said, very gently, I didn't need you to be everything. I just needed you here. I nodded. I told him I was here now. He died 3 months later. After the funeral, the house felt enormous. My son was grown by then, living in another state. He had his own work, his own life. We spoke on Sundays, short, careful conversations. I retired at 62. I thought I would fill the days with visits, hobbies, travel maybe. Instead, I found myself standing in the kitchen, not knowing what to cook for one person. That's when the 5 foods began. It wasn't a grand decision. I was just tired of thinking, tired of choosing. I bought oatmeal because it was easy, eggs because they were simple, yogurt because the doctor said it was good for me, greens because I felt I should, salmon because it reminded me of something clean and steady. I ate them the next day, and the day after. There was comfort in the sameness. No surprises, no effort. The pot of oatmeal steaming in the same bowl, the careful cracking of 2 eggs, the quiet chew of greens at dinner. It became a rhythm. Morning, noon, night, years passed like that. My son visited less frequently, not out of cruelty, just life. I understood. I had built my own life the same way, brick by brick, appointment by appointment, until there was no room left for lingering. When he did come, he'd open my refrigerator and laugh softly. Mom, you still eat like this? I'd shrug. It works. He'd take me out to restaurants, big menus, loud rooms. I'd feel overwhelmed by the choices. I'd order something simple and wish I were home with my plain plate. In my 70s, the doctors started to look impressed instead of concerned. My blood work was steady, my weight consistent, my mind clear. They'd ask about supplements, about special regimens. I told them the truth. There was no secret. What I didn't tell them was that routine had become my companion. After so many people were gone, the predictability of those 5 foods felt like loyalty. They never left the table. They never needed me to choose between them and something else. In my 80s, my son had a stroke. He survived, but something in him dimmed. I flew out to see him, sat beside his hospital bed the way I had once sat beside his father's. He looked smaller than I remembered. At one point, when the nurses had stepped out, he turned his head toward me and said with difficulty, "You were always busy, Mom." There was no anger in it, just a fact. I took his hand. It felt like holding a memory. "I thought we had time," I said. He closed his eyes. That was the turning point, though nothing dramatic happened. He recovered enough to go home. We still talk, but something settled in me that day, a clear, quiet understanding. Time doesn't announce when it's running out. Now, at 1:03, I move slowly through the house. I make my oatmeal. I boil my eggs. I steam my greens. The salmon goes into the oven at exactly the same temperature every evening. The doctors call me remarkable, but I don't feel remarkable. I feel like a woman who kept thinking she could circle back later. There are rooms in this house that still hold echoes. My husband's cough, my son's footsteps running down the hallway, the scratch of my own heels on the kitchen tile as I hurried past them. What can't be fixed is not my diet. It's not my health. It's the nights I missed, the projects I didn't glue together, the long afternoons I traded for meetings no one remembers now. I have gratitude too. I lived a full life in many ways. I earned respect. I provided. I survived longer than almost anyone I've known. But longevity is a strange gift. You outlive your witnesses. Sometimes, when I sit at the table alone, I ask myself, if I had eaten elaborate meals, rich desserts, celebrated more often, would it have changed anything? No, it wasn't the food. It was the attention, The 5 foods are just what remain after you've stripped life down to what you can manage without anyone else. They keep my body going. That's all. If you're listening to me and you're younger, and most of you are, I won't tell you to quit your job or change your life. I know how complicated it is. I know how reasonable ambition feels when you're inside it. I will only say this: when someone you love asks you to sit, just sit. The emails can wait. The promotion can wait. Even the dishes can wait. A child holding a cardboard planet will not wait forever. At my age, there is a stillness that comes whether you invite it or not. I don't fight it anymore. I eat my 5 foods. I wash my 1 plate. I turn off the lights. And some nights before I go to bed, I stand in the hallway and let myself remember the sound of a small voice calling from the living room, asking for help with something sticky and unimportant. I thought there would be more time. There wasn't. If this meant something to you, hold it quietly. That's enough. I'm 103 years old. The doctors can't explain me, but I can.